Hey guys, so it's the third week here on Degrassi After Party. You may notice our Wednesday will be missing for the next few weeks, so you should go to our Tumblr and sign up to fill in for her or fill in to be a guest on Saturdays. You also may have noticed we had our first guest this Saturday, the lovely Claire, and yeah, if you want to be one too, just go to our Tumblr. That's basically it. So let's get into the fun of this week. The theme for this week is to review your favorite episode. Now, my favorite season of Degrassi is season 3. So I went through all of season 3 and I could not pick just one because they're all so amazing to me. So I picked my favorite episode of season 10 because that was way easier for me to do, which is When Love Takes Over, specifically part 2. Because I just have so much love for Fathom and Fiona and Annie and Jordan and, all that stuff. And the episode was one I was most excited for when it was coming out. And it's the episode that when it plays I get the most excited. And so let's just get into my review for this episode. Each one of us is likely going to review episodes in our own way, which is perfectly fine. But here's my take on it. When Love Takes Over Part 2 is episode 34 of Degrassi Season 10. Its plot lines involve the relationship of Fiona and Adam, Anya and Dr. Chris, and Dave and Sadie, as it aired for Valentine's Day. The opening of this episode involves Sav in a Cupid outfit, which transitions to Adam entering the drama room, which I personally adore. This whole episode is filled with amazing cinematography from start to finish, and in fact, the ending of this episode is the reason it makes it my favorite. Adam is reading a journal entry from Fiona, and to make it even more interesting, Fiona's voice is being heard and clips from the other plot lines are being shown. The first and most predominant plot line involves mainly Fiona and Adam, but it's also crucial because it highlights the misfit friendship, Adam's relationship, and newfound interaction with characters like Holly J, and Fiona's with Eli and Claire, and the Coin family connecting. And of course, the relationship of Fiona and Holly J. The other plotlines do that just as well. Anya interacts with family, Dr. Chris, and Holly J, while the plotline of Dave and Sadie also highlights the friendship of the three tenors, who bring in the comedic aspect of the plotline with Connor and Leslie's height jokes. Besides the references to Dave's height, what also makes this episode entertaining and appealing to me are the references Anya makes to showcase her teenage ways in relationship to her plotline. She mentions things like the half your age plus 7 rule and references the relationship of Beyonce and Jay-Z. Her innocence also shines through when she's talking to her mother and says he thinks she's 20 and a half, showing she truly doesn't grasp the seriousness. What's interesting is that you already get a taste of what's going to happen in season 11 when Anya and Dr. Chris agree to wait 2 months until dating because of her age. And interestingly, in this episode, none of the couples are actually the same age. And back to the A-plot, the most important one. In it, we see Fiona's questionings, insecurities, the seriousness of her drinking, which I still don't fully understand the drinking makes it easier to be with you line. Personally, I just don't get it. It definitely has to be mentioned that both Annie and Jordy's acting is amazing, but you really need to watch part 1 and part 2 to get the full effect, as it doesn't really stand on its own that well. What I love is that we finally get to see Fiona and Adam in a real relationship, as the one shown in the past hadn't really been that successful, for lack of a better term. Though I find it interesting to watch as Adam finally gets a dose of reality in the seriousness of her troubles, which so many people go through when holding others on a pedestal as he does. The whole episode was both adorable and tragic. The classroom scene and the taxis are both ones that made my heart both melt and break completely in half simultaneously. Other things to note for this episode is that we get our initial taste of Alex Winwell's acting. Fiona's tine headband made an appearance, my favorite inanimate objects of the whole show. And interesting to note, Jordan and Annie have the same mother in Actorland. That's very cool. Adam finally has some style going on, and the only downside was the lack of Declan coin. This whole episode dealt with relationships, both of the romantic and friendly variety, while also dealing with them in a serious and comedic aspect. Fiona and Adam were mainly a train wreck you had hoped would blossom into love. Anya and Dr. Chris covered a serious issue, but because of Anya's sweetness, we were able to laugh at it, while the three tenors completely kept us in stitches with their immaturity all the way through. I would rate this episode a good 9.25 out of 10 because there are still a few things that I disliked that were basically minute aspects of the episode in comparison to other episodes and things, that affected my rating. But it definitely ranks high for me because I love this episode. And finally, my favorite scene had to be the lovers' lunch scene. I had been waiting for this scene. It's one that I watched with the most intent. It's by far my favorite. The acting, the slight movements, the dialogue, the scene, the characters, everything is perfect to me. So for a challenge, this is the one I went with. Here it is, the lovers' lunch scene as portrayed by Jocelyn. 12:10, because she's not coming. Hello. You made it. How could I resist spending time with you, Eli, and Claire? You have pretty eyes. Thanks. The color of that shirt does nothing for them. Dude, you need to get her out of here. She's wasted. That's not very nice to whisper, is it? Come on, let's go for a walk. But we just got here. Besides, Claire and I are really hitting it off. No, I want to be alone with you. Oh, I'll take the walk. Come on. We should go shopping. Follow me.